Hello, my name is Victoria Boyer, and today I will be giving my TED Talk on citizens' personal characteristics in relation to their political ideologies. First, we must ask the question, what is political ideology? And that is a patterned set of beliefs about how government and other important institutions operate and how they ought to operate, and in particular about what kinds of policies the government ought to pursue. This is often characterized or thought of as political parties. However, people have different beliefs which don't exactly correlate with their party identification. But with party identification, first we have the Democratic Party, and some of their ideologies or beliefs are that the government helps to solve problems. Therefore, a bigger government can solve bigger and more problems. They support government regulation in the economy. They support social programs such as food stamps, welfare, unemployment, Medicare, Medicaid. They support regulation, and they highly support higher taxes for the wealthy. They believe in the protection of the environment, such as global warming, and they have strong views on renewable energy. And they believe that the government is a necessary agent for promoting equality. This is often thought about as the Democrats promoting and starting the movement for gay marriage. Democrats often push for and start programs for racial equality, gender equality. One of the major campaigns over this past year from the Democrats was My Body, My Choice, about abortions and birth control. Now, to the other side of the spectrum, we're going to talk about the political ideologies or beliefs of the Republican Party. The Republicans believe that a large government poses a threat to individual liberty. Thus, they support a small government. They support a stronger state government, which gives more of the powers and the decisions of money allocation to the state government. Because a lot of the states are different, farming states, states that are industrialized, and the Republicans believe that different states have different necessities, and therefore the states should be able to choose their own regulations, in a sense. The Republicans support a free market. With that, they support a strong economy and global trading and a strong production of goods home for jobs, for American jobs. They believe in producing their goods at home instead of abroad. And they support military spending, but at the same time they support a lower government spending, and this in turn will lower taxes. They believe that the discretionary spending should be left to the private sector. Now we're going to talk about how personal characteristics influence political ideology. And with this, we're going to watch a little introduction video about different personal characteristics and how those affect the development and thought of political ideologies among different groups of people.
Generations of conservatives. A second major influence on political ideology is social groups, which in this case refer to one's race, gender, religion, or ethnicity. Obviously, these are generalizations, but certain groups tend to fall predictably into liberal or conservative camps. African Americans and Jewish people are among the most liberal Americans, while white Catholics tend to be conservative. Latinos are an interesting case because many identify as Catholic, but they tend to be more liberal politically. One of the reasons that many use to explain why African Americans and Latinos tend to be liberals is that these groups are disproportionately poor and receive a significant share of government benefits. To this way of thinking, economic self-interest is a prime determiner of where one stands politically, and it also explains why white conservatives, especially those who are wealthy, favor policies of lower taxes and less government intervention. One problem with this purely self-interested view of political ideology, though, is that there is a large number of low-income, low-wealth white voters who also do or would gain from more government benefits, but they tend to be conservative. In other words, be careful when you try to define a person's politics by looking at their bank account. Gender also tends to be statistically significant in terms of political ideology. The gender gap refers to the fact that women tend to be more liberal overall than men. This is especially true on the issue of national defense, where they tend to favor spending reductions rather than increases. Thanks, Thought Bubble. The third agent of political socialization in the U.S. is education, namely the primary and secondary school system. This is the most formal way that our political...
in that video, it talked about a lot of the aspects of developing political ideologies that we're going to talk about now. So first, it talked about race and ethnicity, and it is very known that people of different races do have different political ideologies. First, white Americans are known for being Republican or having more conservative views. African Americans are known to have more liberal views, and they support affirmative action, which is policies favoring those who tend to suffer from discrimination. Latinos are more democratic, more liberal. However, they do have different views they have very liberal views on immigration. And those of Asian descent are also more liberal. This has a correlation to Japanese internment, as we learned in the case Korematsu versus United States. And the next factor in political ideologies that we're going to talk about is gender. And women tend to support more leftist parties. Women exceeded men in voter turnout because women's suffrage in 1920s sent women to the polls. It is known that women are more likely to emphasize certain issues like the treatment of racial and ethnic minorities, the environment, abortions, and the LGBTQ treatment. All of these characteristics make women tend more to support more leftist parties or to be more liberal in their ideas. Men are more likely, on the other hand, to support more right parties or more conservative parties. Men are more likely to emphasize certain issues like the economy, the military, national security, and foreign affairs. The next characteristic that we are going to talk about is income level. It is known that the more income you make, the more likely you are to vote Republican or to have more conservative views. Research shows that Americans who make less than $70,000 a year are more likely to vote Democratic. Those making $70,000 a year and above are more likely to vote Republican. These ideologies have a direct correlation to political party identification because Democrats believe that those with more money should be taxed more, while the Republicans believe that those with more money should be able to keep their money to reinvest in the economy and therefore create more jobs. And the last characteristic that we're going to talk about in relation to political ideologies is geography. And first we have this map here. And so we're going to talk about the colors of this map and what they mean. This map here shows red states, blue states, and purple states. So the red states are states that tend to vote Republican. The blue states are states that tend to vote Democratic. And the purple states are swing states or battleground states, which tend to swing from the Democratic to Republican parties between presidential elections. You can see from this map that states in the Midwest and the South tend to swing to the right or tend to vote Republican, and states on the East and the West Coast tend to swing to the left or tend to be more Democratic. The common red states are Alaska, Arizona, Idaho, Kansas, Nebraska, North Dakota, Texas, Utah, and Wyoming, while the blue states are California, Connecticut, Delaware, Maine, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and the purple states or the swing states are Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Minnesota, Ohio, Iowa, and Virginia. Political ideologies are very important because in our day and age, many of those of the new generation don't fit into one party or don't identify with one party. They may have some conservative and some liberal views, and that's why it's very important to differentiate different political ideologies to correctly assess your party identification.